So good afternoon and welcome back to the Little French Homestead. If you are new to my channel today, welcome. My name is Sherry. So let me guess, your spice cabinet is overflowing, but you're still at that grocery store grabbing those tiny, expensive packages of taco seasonings. You get home, open it up, it's clumpy, packed with salt, and full of ingredients you can't pronounce. Sound familiar? I was stuck in that exact same loop until I realized how ridiculously cheap and easy and so much better it is to make your own. In this video, I am not just handing you a few recipes. This is my complete guide to do a DIY homemade spice mixes. We will cover the essential weeknight blends that will save you money and make your dinners taste incredible. But we're going deep. I'll share some of my secrets for buying spices in bulk without breaking the bank. And I'll show you how to keep your custom blends fresh for months so your last spoonful is just as amazing as the first. By the end of this, you'll be wondering why you ever bought store-bought blend in the first place. But before we get our hands all dusty with those spices, let's talk about why this is such a game changer. There are 3 huge reasons you should be making your own spice blends at home. First, and this is the big one, for most of us, you are going to save so much money. Seriously, a single pack of seasoning can cost you a few bucks and it's just for one meal. But when you buy individual spices, especially in slightly larger amounts, the price just drops. We're talking about making an entire jar of seasonings for the price of 1 or 2 of those little packages. It's one of the smartest, most cost-effective changes you can make in the kitchen. The second reason is control. When you buy a pre-made blend, you're stuck with whatever they and the company have decided to put into it. And spoiler alert, it's usually loaded with salt as a cheap filler, sometimes even sugar. Then you've got that anti-caking ingredient and a bunch of preservatives that you cannot pronounce. No, thank you. When you make your own, you are the chef. You decide how much salt goes in, or if any at all. You control the heat. You can make it spicier, more herbier, or more smokier to perfectly match what your family loves. And the best part, there's no weird fillers, no weird stuff, and just pure flavor. And that leads me to the third and the most delicious reason. The flavor is just better. Spices, especially ground ones, start losing their magic the moment they are processed. That blend from the store might have been sitting there on a shelf for months or years. When you mix your own, you're using fresher ingredients and the results are brighter and more aromatic and a million times more flavorful. The difference is truly night and day. You'll notice a depth in your cooking that you just can't get from a flavor packet. So, all right, let's get down to some mixing. Now, I'm going to walk through 4 of my absolute must-have blends that I will be using for all weeknight cooking. The first one up, everyone needs to have, is a killer style, Cajun style seasoning. Okay? The one I like to follow is called Papa Earl style. That's going to include 6 tablespoons of paprika. You would prefer to have smoked, but unfortunately I don't. And I'm trying to use the last little bit in that particular container. We add 3 tablespoons of garlic, 3 tablespoons of onion powder, 1.5 tablespoons of black pepper. It does ask for 1.5 tablespoons of white pepper, but I do not currently have that. 1.5 tablespoons dried oregano, 1.5 tablespoons dried thyme, 1 tablespoon dried parsley. It then does suggest, obviously at your spice level, anywhere between 1/2 to 1 full tablespoon of cayenne. It also suggests 1 tablespoon of celery seed and 1 tablespoon of celery salt. However, of regular salt. However, I do not have celery seed, but I carry celery salt. I am from New Hampshire. Celery salt is beautiful in potato salad, egg salad, chicken salad, as well on hot dogs. That is the first batch right here. You want to go ahead and give it a good shake, and always, always, always date and mark what it is. For the next one I like is a homemade taco seasoning. Now, I always make a bigger batch, but I'm just going to give you a regular size batch full here. 4 tablespoons of chili powder, 2 tablespoons of cumin, 2 tablespoons of paprika. Sweet paprika is good for this particular recipe. 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1 tablespoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, and finally about 1 to 2 teaspoons of salt and 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Obviously, adjust this to your own taste. For a little extra kick and a nice heat, go ahead and add a 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper if you would like. You can mix this all in a bowl, or what I do here in my quart-size mason jars, and that is it. Perfectly combined. Now you have a rich, smoky taco seasoning that tastes incredible. I use about 2 tablespoons per pound of ground beef. But don't stop there. I also use it on some roasted potatoes, and you can even sprinkle it on popcorn, and it makes the best burrito rolls. So now we're going to go ahead and be jumping right into a chili seasoning. Again, all these are just based for 1. I am doubling because I make a lot of it. What we're going to do here is a 1/2 cup of chili powder, a 1/4 cup of ground cumin, 3 tablespoons of paprika, and I highly suggest the smoked one here if you have it, 2 tablespoons of onion powder, 2 tablespoons of garlic powder, and 1 tablespoon of dried oregano, and 1 tablespoon of cayenne pepper. You can dial it up or down on your needs. Again, you are going to go ahead and mix this all up very thoroughly and label it, stick it inside a mason jar, and this would be absolutely perfect. Now, for my final one, This is going to be a homemade barbecued seasoning. Now, this particular recipe is just enough for a large batch for 2 medium air fryer chickens. You can always double and triple this, but I always just, again, make extra. 1 tablespoon sea salt, 1 tablespoon ground pepper, 1 tablespoon chili powder, 1 tablespoon garlic pepper, 1 tablespoon paprika. Again, this can be the heat, mild paprika. 1 tablespoon of onion powder, and then again, that will get nicely all mixed. Okay? So once all of this is all done, now you've got these key ingredient recipes. I just want to let you on a little secret, but most spice blends from around the world follow this simple framework. Once you get it, you can't stop following recipes and start creating your own custom mixes. Think of this as in 4 parts. You have a base, you have the herbs, you've got the heat, and then you have the accent. So the base is first. There are fundamental flavors that give a blend its savory backbone. The most common base ingredients are paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, and salt. Notice how these showed up in almost every single recipe we just made. They are the workhorse. Second, you have the herbs. This is where you really define the blend's personality. If you are going for an Italian vibe, you're going to grab your oregano, your basil, and your thyme. If you're going to make something with poultry, you'll reach for the sage and the rosemary. This layer brings that aromatic regional character to your mix. Third is your heat. This part is absolutely optional, of course, but how you add it, it gets that exciting kick. Common sources are black pepper, cayenne pepper, and crushed red pepper flakes. Or you can add different types of chili powder like chipotle or ancho for a smokier heat. A little bit goes a long way in help balancing out all of the flavors. And finally, you have your accent or your finishers. These are the unique standout flavors that make a blend truly special. Think of the earthy cumin in that taco seasoning, the nutty sesame seeds in an everything blend, or warm spices like cinnamon and allspice, or even mustard powder. These are the notes that make people go, wow, what is in this? It is delicious. By thinking in these 4 categories, you can look at your pantry and start mixing and matching with confidence. So for stirring them long term for freshness, you've just made these beautiful, fragrant spice blends. The last thing you want them to do is go bland in a few weeks. Proper storage is everything when it comes to protecting your investment. 3 enemies of fresh spices are light, heat, and air. That makes the rules pretty simple. First, you're going to need airtight containers. Glass jars with tight lids are perfect. I love using mason jars, or just sometimes you can just wash and reuse old spice jars. This keeps air and moisture out, which prevents clumping and flavor loss. Second, Store them in a cool, dark place, a pantry, a cabinet, or a drawer. All great choices. Yes, I have my spice rack near the stove, and that is not really a proper choice, but it is far enough away. But that also, too, is a total flavor killer if you keep them on top of your stove. Yes, it is convenient, but you can ruin your spices faster with all of that steam and that heat. Also, too, direct sunlight is also a big no-no, as it will fade the colors and the potency of your blends. Now, that is why I try to keep just the blends that I use all of the time down below, and the ones that I used most of the time on those shelves. And if I have an excess overload, I will go ahead and vacuum seal my mason jar. That's why I love my mason jars. And I will go ahead and then seal them up and store them away. Finally, as always, label your jars. Write the name of the blend and the date you made it. This is so important. Spices don't really go bad, and that way they will make you sick. And that way they don't really go bad in a way they'll make you sick. But they will absolutely lose their flavor. As a rule of thumb, ground spices are at their best within the first 12 to 6 months. They'll sit and be fine after that, but you might notice that they are not as punchy. Dating the jars takes all of the guesswork out of it. And what I even do to take it to the next step is when I've bought the jar from a store, I write that date on it, and then I write the date that I did a mix, giving me twice the backup to make sure that I am not using something that is really, really old. In bulk buying and saving money, to really lock this money-saving power of DIY blends, you have to be smart about where you buy your spices. Those tiny pricey jars in a regular supermarket aisle, they're not your friend here when you are trying to make your bulk seasoning mixes. Now, I do buy like coriander or, little rosemary or sage, something like that in the jars, but I do wait for them to go buy one, get one free. So that way, again, I am making my money, but I'm not buying a huge quantity of something that I don't use all of the time. Look for alternatives. Your local international grocery store is often a gold mine for large, affordable bags of high-quality spices. You can get things like cumin, coriander, and turmeric for a fraction of the cost. Another fantastic option is the bulk bin health food sections or co-ops. I have a Sprouts in my area that I can do bulk seasoning if I choose to, like that. I do normally just go to my local Sam's Club and get them there. However, if you would really like more organic, there is a company that I do buy some things from. It's called Azure Standard, and they are very, very well. Then at the co-ops, you can buy exactly about how much you need, which is perfect when you are just trying a new spice. Plus, it dramatically cuts down the cost on packaging waste. And of course, there are tons of amazing online shops that offer the incredible quality and freshness with good prices. If you are finding this advice helpful and you are getting excited and organized your spice cabinet, don't forget to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I have so many more tips and recipes to help you become a more confident and creative cook. And you don't want to miss what could be coming up next. So there you have it. 4 essential blends, a framework for creating your own, and all of the tips for the storage and saving money. Sorry, I have a cat trying to play on my computer. We've covered everything from taco seasonings to Papa's Earl seasoning to a barbecue and a chili seasoning. I hope that you will find this whole process very successful and saving money. If there's one thing you take away from this, it's making your own spice blends. It is not that complicated. It is very easy and very rewarding, and a simple way to totally elevate your everyday cooking. You will get a way better flavor. You will save a lot of money, and you know exactly how much your family is eating with all of those non-commercial spice blends. I would love to know, what is the one spice blend that you can't live without? I know I can never live without pepper. I do pepper in my pepper mill, so when I have a meal that is complete and I can add more pepper on it. I have a child that's not too fond of spices, but then I buy the whole peppercorns, so that's why I'm making a list here, because I am all out of pepper. So that way I can run over to Sam's Club and then I can ground with my coffee grinder some fresh ground pepper to go ahead and throw into my meals that I am actually cooking. So let me know down in the comments what you have and what you think. And don't forget to go ahead and like, share, but most importantly, go ahead and subscribe. Click that notification button. And as always, keep on cooking. Bye.